So what brought you all the way down here to Olean, New York?
Well, we came for a contest and wanted to do some competitive aerobatics, and that's why we're here. So, looking forward to doing some flying. Unfortunately, the weather didn't turn out, but it was supposed to be a fun weekend, and it still was.
That's great. What? Tell me a little bit about your plane you got here.
Well, we got a single-seat version of the Pitts. I think you saw Mike's earlier, which was a two-seater. So this is the very first one that they designed, which is one seat, and it's about 800 pounds empty weight and 180 horse, so it goes up like an elevator and comes down like an elevator. And yeah, it's set up for aerobatic flight, so there's not many instruments inside. And it's a rush, a lot of fun to fly.
What's the G-force on something like this?
Will be the same as the S2, so you can. It's certified for +6 and -3, which is enough.
Yep. How long you been doing aerobatic flying?
I started aerobatics in about 5 years ago, and I started in the primary category. And then the next year moved up to sportsman, which is the second level, and now I'm competing in intermediate. So I've been in intermediate about 2 years now, and loving it. It's a lot of fun, and I think we have 5 intermediate competitors here, so good competition, anyways. So what we got here is a Pitts S1S, which is the smallest of all the airplanes. It's 800 pounds, like I said before, empty weight, and the wingspan is only about 17 feet, so you could actually build one of these in your garage. This one is designed for aerobatic flight, so we got basic instrumentation, and not much other than airspeed and altimeter, the most important things, and the G meter, of course. And yeah, that's about it for inside the cockpit. We got a 7-point harness here, so when we're pulling and pushing G's, it kind of keeps us all strapped in. And we got a parachute that's actually mandatory for aerobatic competition. But other than that, there's not much baggage space, as you can see. You got room for about a knapsack in the back there, and that's about it. So you got room for a change of jeans and maybe an extra t-shirt, and that's all you can bring with you. So it's all about the flying, that's for sure.
Now what's this little star type shape over here off the wing?
Okay, a lot of people ask that question, and it's actually a sighting device. So when you're flying aerobatics, you obviously go straight up and you go 45 down, and it's a combination of lines and angles, and to help you, you actually put the horizon on this sighting device, so it gives you an idea of vertical or 45. It's much easier than, because if you didn't have it, you'd have to eyeball it, and unfortunately the judges can pick it up on the ground, so they actually, they can dock you points. They can tell whether it's 40 or 45 degrees. So every degree you're off is a point lost. So it's important to be precise, and that's the most accurate method of judging the angles and the vertical lines.
Now what's the little string off the hanging off the end of that?
This string is actually a direction indicator. Surprisingly enough, if you're going backwards, it goes the other way. So if you're going forwards, it's heading in the right direction, and it's mainly used for different types of maneuvers, such as tail slides, where the aircraft actually slides backwards. So that's kind of a change of direction indicator, because what happens when you're going backwards is the controls reverse. So obviously you have to take into account when you're going backwards, the controls do the opposite of what you're used to in forward flight. So that's kind of an indicator that tells you where the relative airflow is coming, whether it's coming from the front or the back.
Okay, what can you tell me a little bit about the fabric of the plane and how it's made? Is it wooden? Is it aluminum?
The Pitts is designed, it's got a steel tube fuselage, and it's covered in fabric. So the fuselage itself is all steel tube, and as are the tail feathers. So they're all it's all steel tube frame and ribs inside. And then inside the wings, we actually have, the wings are all wood. So there's a wood spar, wooden ribs, covered in fabric. And it creates a very strong combination when you match up the flying wires with the actual wing itself, because it creates a box, and it's very, very stiff. So it can take a lot of punishment.
And the guide wires that you have here with the little, looks like a little pencil in the middle, what is that used for?
This is actually a javelin they call it, and the javelin is there to use to stabilize the wires, because if the javelin wasn't there during when you pull G's, the wires will actually vibrate quite a bit, so it just dampens it. It changes the actual harmonic frequency of the wire. Alrighty. Well, main reason why I got into aerobatics is it's ultimately the definition of precision flying. A lot of people think, oh, you're crazy, it's a rush, you know, it's intense, it's a big deal. But in reality, it's not an adrenaline sport. It's all about precision. It's like Formula One racing. You know, there's an element of competition there, but all at the same time, these guys are extremely precise. And they basically push their machine or their whatever vehicle that they're using to the max, and that's exactly what we're doing with the airplanes. We're getting the maximum amount of performance out of them with the most amount of precision, and that's exactly what aerobatics is. And I got into flying through gliding, and I got into aerobatics because it's kind of the next step. You know, you get into flying and you're interested in airplanes and flying, but in reality you want to take it to the next step, and that's aerobatics. And all in all, it's extremely safe, and the organization that we have, it's structured so that you start out at a very basic level, and through the years you progress through up a higher and higher level, and you get to the top, and ultimately you've mastered the airplane. And there's no such thing as perfect. You can never have a perfect loop or a perfect roll, and it's kind of like the game of golf. You know, there's no such thing as a perfect game of golf. So,
but every now and then you do get a nice shot.
Oh, of course, exactly. You can't describe that feeling. It's awesome. When you nail a roll or nail a loop, it feels good.
Awesome. Great. Thank you very much.
No problem.